This video will contain spoilers for the first 10 episodes of Dragons Rising Season 2. If you haven't seen these 10 episodes yet, be sure to go check them out because they're really good. I think the original Ninjago series was really great, but far from perfect. One of my big issues of it was the way it handled Kai, the Red Ninja. Now, with Kai being arguably the most iconic character to come out of the entire Ninjago brand, you'd think if any of the main 6 protagonists would be underwhelmingly written, it would be not him. However, if you made that assumption, you would be mistaken. After the first 5 seasons of the show, where Kai did get a really great story about overcoming his pride and jealousy, the way his character was being written started to become incredibly underwhelming, with the times he came closest to actually getting things to do being Season 7 and Season 11. Season 7 had a very interesting character arc for him on paper, finding his absentee parents, but it falls flat when you realize that the arc is absolutely surface deep. There is nothing to this storyline beyond Kai wants his parents back, and then Kai gets his parents back, he's happy now. Which as a result leaves the arc just not really adding much to the character. And then Season 11 gave Kai an arc where he lost his fire powers. Now, whilst I think this is a decent character arc for him, that gets most of the basic beats and characterization right, this arc just didn't have enough time to breathe, leaving it kind of falling flat. Outside of these two pretty flawed and underwhelming storylines, if you're a Kai fan, that's it.
You get nothing! You lose!
After Crystallized closed the book on the original Ninjago series, it became abundantly clear. Its sequel series, Dragons Rising, would need to give Kai some attention and love, because he's been a static character for, at the time, 7 years. And in Dragons Rising, well, the complaints with Kai did not go unnoticed. Straight off the bat, outside of Lloyd, the first 2 original ninja to be found after the merge are Kai and Nia. And Dragons Rising immediately shows its commitment to renewing the character of Kai by really giving attention to the sibling bond between Kai and Nia. Which is great, because this bond between the 2 characters was largely completely ignored by the past 5 seasons of Ninjago, sidelined entirely by focusing in on the romantic relationship between Jay and Nia. Seeing this incredibly important sibling relationship for Kai finally get some focus again was absolutely great for the character, and looking back, a pretty clear mission statement from Dragons Rising that it's going to revitalize the character of Kai. The next and biggest thing Dragons Rising added to Kai's character is making him a surrogate father to one of the new characters, Wildfire. Wildfire is the elemental master of heat, an elemental power very easily mistaken for Kai's element, fire. Before realizing their powers are different, Kai initially feels very threatened and jealous of Wildfire. A feeling that, unlike in the old days, he's very easily able to quickly put to the side, as he comes to realize that this kid is just his younger self. Wildfire was raised by dragons, and was only roped into being a ninja after she had to save her family from being kidnapped. Beat for beat what pulled Kai into being a ninja. On top of that, she's reluctant to work together with others in a team, has a very unchecked and out of control ego, thinks she can do everything herself, is very hot-headed and rushes into things without thinking. Wildfire is just like Kai's younger self. Having come to realize this about Wildfire whilst Kai and her were trying to obtain their dragon core, Kai takes it upon himself to try and become a mentor/father figure to Wildfire, so she can learn the same lessons that Kai did and overcome the character flaws that she has that Kai is all too familiar with. This wonderful story of Kai helping Wildfire to work through the same things Wu helped Kai work through, just puts into perspective how much the character of Kai has changed and grown over the course of the original show. Just using Kai as a catalyst for Wildfire's development in a way that highlights how much the character has changed would be enough for me. But the Dragons Rising writers went above and beyond. One of my central issues of Kai in the final seasons of classic Ninjago, as mentioned before, was his lack of development. And one of the most egregious examples of this problem in action was when Nia became the ocean and departed from human civilization for a year. Something that should have changed Kai in some way, but didn't. A major missed opportunity in my opinion. This brings us to the administration episode of Dragons Rising Season 1, where Kai and Wildfire are taking care of Wildfire's dragon parent Heatwave, who was injured badly in a previous episode. Kai administered a healing agent on Heatwave, but in Wildfire's eyes it isn't working fast enough and she's incredibly worried. So Kai tries to teach her some meditation techniques to help calm her down. This is a great character building moment for Wildfire, teaching her patience and how to manage her emotions and impulses better. But it also retroactively gives Kai the character development the Nia disappearance arc should have given him. In this scene, Kai mentions the events of Seabound where his sister Nia became water and disappeared for a year, and mentions that in this time, Kai was incredibly worried and mournful for his sister who had just up and vanished. But during this time, Master Wu helped Kai calm himself and cope with the loss by teaching him these same techniques Wildfire is now learning, telling us that this Nia disappearance arc did change Kai, by telling us that Kai, through Wu's meditation techniques, learned how to manage his emotions better. retroactively inserting the character development in that Crystallize should have given Kai. Kai digging into this painful experience and using it to help Wildfire is such a wonderful moment for the character, and retroactively adds a bunch of depth to his character in the last few seasons of Classic Ninjago. All of this that we've discussed would be enough to get me fully back on board with the character of Kai in Dragons Rising. But then the first 10 episodes of Dragons Rising Season 2 came out, and it's probably the single best depiction of Kai in franchise history. Straight off the bat, Dragons Rising Season 2 leans way into the father-daughter relationship between Kai and Wildfire, highlighting how well Kai is slipping into the role of being a father figure to Wildfire and a mentor to the new ninja. Not only being the one on the team who's the most fun and understands the kids the best, but also being one to consistently hand out genuinely good advice, and be a comforting and reassuring presence when needed. Whether that being supporting the leader of the team and his surrogate brother figure, Lloyd, or when the new students need help. In these 10 episodes, arguably more than ever, you can just see how passionate this guy is about being there for his friends. A trait that's especially brought out of him when one of the new villains, Cinder, injures Wildfire's leg and renders her unable to walk. Kai's immediate first reaction to this is just complete anger. He paces around the monastery caves, breaking boxes and trying to vent out his anger, before then having to set his anger aside so he can go comfort Wildfire about having to stay back and rest. After asking Wildfire not to come on the mission they're about to go on and rest at the monastery, Kai goes out of his way to ask the other people who are staying at the monastery to make sure Wildfire is safe and looked after. Wildfire, being someone who thinks she can do everything herself, doesn't take this well at all, ultimately disobeying Kai's advice and sneaking onto the bounty to join the mission. Whilst Kai is very visibly frustrated by this and does call Wildfire out for it multiple times.
And we also have an injured ninja who was expressly told to stay home, who came along irresponsibly.
Who's he talking about?
He's still super patient with her and goes out of his way to make sure that she's safe. After this, we get to Season 2's training arc, where the ninja need to learn to become one with the motion of the world so they can master Rising Dragon technique, the only fighting technique in the world that's able to rival Lord Raz and Cinder's Shatter Spin, which can I just say makes for an absolutely ugly toy. Anyways, getting in sync with the motion of the universe and mastering Rising Dragon is something all of the ninjas struggle with the person making the most progress in the training being Kai. The only problem being that Kai has a glaring flaw that's holding him back, himself. Nia immediately identifies that the only thing stopping Kai from getting in sync with the universe is the character flaw that's defined so much of his screen presence throughout the years. Thinking about himself. Thinking about how rageful he is at the ninja situation. Thinking about how he misses not having to save the world. Etc, etc. This is his defining flaw and the one thing holding him back from reaching Rising Dragon. Nia decides to remedy this issue by training alongside Kai, reminding him of their childhood spent playing Countershot and enjoying the simple parts of life in their parents' blacksmith shop. A moment in the past where Kai was completely in sync with the people and world around him, before having to worry about the weight of the world being on his shoulders. Thinking about being in synchronization with his Countershot partner and sister allows Kai to overcome the training course and use Rising Dragon. Now armed with a warrior who can rival Lord Raz and Cinder's Shatter Spin, the ninja go to confront Lord Raz, and put a stop to the ritual he has set up to resurrect the Forbidden Five. Leading up to this, Kai is unsure as to whether he can tap into Rising Dragon again. However, as soon as Nia and Wildfire are about to be attacked by Cinder using Shatter Spin, a blinding light knocks Cinder up into the air and then onto the ground. It's Kai. His determination to protect his family allowed him to tap back into Rising Dragon and face off against Cinder, who, in one of the coolest moments in this entire franchise's history, in a hard contrast to Kai and Cinder's first fight, where Cinder was more than happy to keep attacking the fleeing and injured ninja, Kai allows Cinder to get back up and try again at attacking Kai, only for Cinder to start failing to beat Kai over and over again. This moment illustrates two things. Number one, Kai is the goddamn man. And number two, Kai is an incredibly honorable fighter, more than Cinder could ever dream of being. The hard contrast between how Kai and Cinder react to knocking the other one down is such an amazing detail that demonstrates the difference in morality these two characters share so well. After showcasing why he's one of the coolest characters in this entire franchise, Kai's luck unfortunately takes a turn for the worst as he's knocked into Neverspace by Lord Raz, a dimension that exists outside of the realms for the express purpose of eternal imprisonment. Kai was used as a sacrifice to bring back Nokt, a member of the Forbidden Five. In Neverspace, Kai meets Bonzel, the spell being used to control the gate to Neverspace. Bonzel tells Kai that she'll be able to close the gateway, but that he has to get out first. where Kai displays how selfless he is. He tells Bonzel that the first chance she gets to close the gate needs to be taken, and that the safety of the world and Kai's family is more important to him than his own freedom. Kai is willing to suffer eternal imprisonment if it means the gateway will be closed, and his family will be safe from having to fight the other 4 of the Forbidden 5. Bonzel agrees to this, and the first chance she gets, she closes the portal, causing Lord Raz's ritual to fail after freeing the first of the 5 and having to flee. With the blood moon that enabled Lord Raz's ritual to happen in the first place gone, as far as we know, there is no way to save Kai and Bonzel from Neverspace. They will be trapped for an incomprehensibly long time. Knowing this, Bonzel is devastated, but Kai is resilient. He comforts Bonzel and tells her that despite all of the losses they've taken, she did the best she could, and tells her that even if it seems impossible now, no matter what, Kai will find a way to free him and Bonzel from Neverspace. Even in the face of absolutely impossible odds, Kai never gives up. And that is where we're at for Kai's story in Dragons Rising so far. In this first season and a half, Dragons Rising has done an absolutely spectacular job breathing new life into the character of Kai. A character who Ninjago fans widely agreed had stagnated a bunch in the past 7 years. Dragons Rising has leaned into all of the best and most compelling elements of the character whilst adding a bunch of new stuff such as his role as a father figure. And I for one am really excited to see where Kai's journey in Dragons Rising takes him next. Be sure to let me know how you all feel about the character of Kai in Dragons Rising. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my channel members for financially supporting the channel. Their names are on screen now. This kind of support massively helps me and I could not be any more thankful for it. But also, just watching these videos helps me out a bunch. Thank you everyone so much for watching this all the way through. And as always, I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye for now.